Hey everyone, this is Stan Heller here with VectorVest Canada. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the TSX 30. These are the best performing stocks over the past 3 years, and the TMX board has just come out with their announcement about the new list of TSX 30 stocks, so we want to give those a look at in today's video. And the recently announced list of companies, they created $248 billion of market capitalization growth over the past 3 years and delivered average shareholder gains of more than 300%. There's a great deal we can learn about finding great stocks by analyzing the graphs of the TSX 30. So I kind of wanted to show you how we can do that in VectorVest, where we have that TSX 30 watch list and what to look for on the graph as we go ahead and analyze these stocks. And so we'll go right into the program and have a look at the TSX 30. So here is the VectorVest software. I'm on the home page. I'm going to go to the Viewers tab and just left click up here at the top. And that takes me to the Viewers home. From here, I'm going to click on the watch list viewer. I can click here or click here. So I'll click on the watch list viewer and I'll scroll down a bit and notice that the watch list that we're looking for, the TSX 30, is in the TSX group or folder right here at the bottom left. So when I left click on the TSX, I can scroll down and there's the TSX 30. So when I left click on that, it opens up the current TSX 30 stock. So the TMX board announces this list every year. There's actually only 9 stocks that were on the list last year that also made the list this year as the top 30 stocks, the best performing dividend adjusted sort of net return stocks over the 3-year period. And they go kind of from June to June. So if I do a quick test of all 30 stocks, you can get an idea of the types of gains that we're looking at here. So let me just widen this out a little bit. And then I'll click on the date calendar and it moves it to my second screen. So I'll bring it back. So up at the top here, I'll left click on the month and then go back to 3 years. And they went from June, so I'll go to June 4th and I'll click again in the month area here and I'll click on June 28th. So that's sort of the period that the TMX used to develop this TSX 30 list. So I'll click OK. And then when I click on the run test, it'll give me the results of between the dates 6/4 and 6/28. And you can see the list right up at the top here. Let me just, there we go. So there's Aura, 992% gain. That's 323% annualized return. Now, the quick test doesn't include any dividends. There weren't that many dividend payers in this list. You can see over here at the right, there just weren't that many dividend payers. There were 14 mining companies in this list, so typically a little bit more volatility with this list. But bottom line, they all had excellent returns, with even the bottom 2 achieving 40% annualized rates of return over the 3-year period. So wouldn't we love to be able to find these stocks earlier in the rally to take advantage of at least some of this big gain? You might not catch all of it. Very hard to catch the exact bottom and the exact top, but you're going to be able to catch a good piece of this gain by following the steps I'm going to show you right now. Whoops, and I'm going to close right out of the program. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. So we have basically our big spreadsheet of VectorVest indicators and traditional indicators. We have the company, the symbol. We have the price of the stock on the day. Now this is as of November 18th, and then we can look at the value and see if it's undervalued or overvalued. So that's one indication. Then we can look at our fundamental indicators, the relative value and relative safety on a 0 to 2 scale. The higher the better. Relative value sort of shows us that upside potential. And even today, a lot of these stocks still have fairly good upside potential. Some not as good as others, but a lot of them have that sort of 1.5, 1.3. Anything above 1 is very favorable. Relative safety, the financial performance over a period of years, very strong when it's above 1, and we've got some strength in there. And then the value safety timing, it includes our relative timing indicator, which is our trend momentum indicator, and 0 to 2 scale lets us know how strong the trend is. So today, not as strong a trend with some of these as obviously it was earlier when the market was really moving to the upside. Then we have our buy, sell, hold ratings. We can put these ratings up at the top of the graphs as well. So let's go right in there and have a look at the graphs. So I'm going to click on graph all. We won't look at them all, but just to give you an idea. And we have our VectorVest layout with the 40-day moving average. I've got this default to a 9-month price graph. The price is in the candlesticks. And I've got relative timing as an area graph down below. So I'm just going to change this up a little bit. We're going to take a longer term view since this is a 3-year analysis of the best performing stocks that the TMX does. So we want to go a little bit longer view. I'm going to take off the 40 period moving average and we'll just look at price action. And we'll come up and change the end of day to weekly. And I'll just start with best fit. So we get a pretty good look at a weekly graph. And this is again just, it's 1 year and 10 months. So not quite 2 years that we're looking at here currently. But you can kind of see the best fit setting just gives us the best looking graph from adjusted for my screen resolution. Yours would look a little bit different, but this is what it looks like on my graph. So we're in the weekly graph. I'm going to take us back to that June start in 2018. So I'll just left click in the date calendar here at the bottom right. Bring that date calendar back to this main screen. And I just have to go back a little bit here to 2018, go June 4th. And we're going to look at this to, still want to be in 2021, but we'll look at June and we'll go to June 28th. So the approximate period of this analysis by the TMX to come up with the best performing 30 stocks. Click OK. And now our dates are set, and I'm just going to flip back up here to Trisura. So it's an insurance sector stock in the general insurance industry group. So that's what it's telling us on the graph. And what we're noticing here is a beautiful flat line where price was just moving in a channel. I am going to change the relative timing at the bottom just to slow things down a bit. I'm going to right click on the RT and add a moving average, and I'll make it simple. And it'll be a 40-week moving average, so 40-period moving average. And I'll highlight that, take off the RT, and I'll make this an area, as well. So I right-click, change the type, and I'll make it an area. Okay, so a little easier to smooth out the price or the volatility on the RT. All right, so now I can see that flat lining, and we also had sort of a calm relative timing indicator. We did see some buy ratings up the top, and again, we're smoothing things out with a weekly graph. So back here, we got a buy rating at $7.08, and if I move my date line forward a bit, We can see prices at about 740, so it hasn't moved very much. And then we get to another new buy rating up at the top, and we're at $7.63. And we see that the 40 period moving average of RT. So I'm looking for clues that the price is starting to rally and make a move to the upside. So are we going to break out of this channel or not? A good indication is this 40 period moving average really starting to rise on a weekly basis, and price also hitting higher highs. It wouldn't be getting a buy rating were it not hitting a higher high. So it's starting to move up and get a buy rating. That's one of the criteria, is the price must be moving up in order to get a buy rating from VectorVest. There also is a minimum fundamentals that must be in place. And speaking of that, we can turn on the earnings per share. Also very helpful. I'm going to make that an area as well. Just right click in the gray area beside earnings per share, make it an area. And so we can see we had a big increase in price, or earnings per share, I should say, back here, and we kept rising. So this is a forecasted earnings per share 1 year out. So we want price to be rising all the way to the right edge if possible. So if we're thinking about buying that stock today, yes, we want the price, the earnings per share, I should say, rising all the way to the right edge. And we've got a good, strong 40 period moving average of RT, and the stock all the way along has been hitting higher highs. So very easy to analyze and find good entry points using this setup and technique. So let's just do this now. I'm going to just take our date calendar back. I've just got to grab the right edge here. I'm going to leave the left edge the same as where we were. But sometimes it's more valuable to kind of see. You can see if you were looking at this on a shorter time frame, this is about 1 year and 4 months now instead of 3 years. But that flat line that we were looking at before doesn't look quite as flat. It's still a flat line, and we still see a channel. If I take my horizontal line drawer, we're still seeing a channel. So what we're looking for is that breakout. And we're starting to see it, and we see the 40 period moving average starting to rise with momentum. We're seeing the date line. We're already in a buy rating once we got sort of and closed above this channel on a weekly basis. Remember, this is a weekly graph, but that would have been a terrific entry opportunity. And if we're a little bit late, we could be entering in here. And I'm just going to click on the right arrow, just going a week at a time. So we've got a really strong breakout, really good thrust to the upside on the 40 period moving average, and the earnings per share, the forecasted earnings per share, rising all the way to the right edge. So here we hit a we hit a higher low right here. So the uptrend is not broken at all. We hit a higher low. Now we've hit a higher high. Let's see if we close higher. There we go. And so that is how you would just kind of manage your position. And I'm just moving it a little bit faster now, just along. So you can see really there might have been a little bit of weakness here, and you might have thought, well, I better sell my shares depending on your goals here. Got a nice gain already. Take some profit off the table if you like here. Got a sell rating, so you never want to ignore that. And then you can always come back in. Bit of a J hook here, and then another new buy rating right here. So that's how you would manage that position. And let me just go to the next one. So here's TFI. So we're actually looking at the COVID collapse right here. And then we start to gain momentum in price. There's our buy rating moving up. And we weren't doing much before that, obviously. But there's the big move coming. big thrust to the upside with the 40 period moving average. Now earnings per share took a little bit of a drop here. So we pay attention to it, but we're still strong, well over $4 a share on earnings. So that's all good. And if I click on add parameter, we can see that we do pay a dividend, $1.04 there as well. And we're getting those dividend increases as well. Not a lot of stocks in this TSX 30 were dividend payers, but when you do get a nice dividend payer that's raising its dividends, and you've got price going like this straight up, that's a very strong bullish sign as well for a great stock. Maybe one you can hold for a longer period. All right, so we've identified some entry opportunities, new buy ratings, 40 period moving average of RT hitting a valley and then starting to come out of a valley with some strength, a thrust. Earnings per share rising strong here, well over $4 a share and rising to the right edge. And in this case, dividends also rising on a yearly basis. And then let me just get my date calendar back to where we started again. And so I would just encourage you to take some time over a day or two on the weekend and just do this kind of a study. Oops, going the wrong way here. Get back up to June. All right, and it doesn't take very long. We're talking about 30 stocks. So you can see where are the entry points. Price action is going to dictate quite well, especially on a weekly graph. Yes, you're going to get a sell rating from time to time. That's very much a caution sign, and you never want to ignore it. But price action is telling you you still haven't hit a lower high, even on this level here. And then you hit a higher high. And again, you don't hit a lower high, even though you've got a couple of sell ratings. So if your goal is longer term, you can hang in there for a little bit longer. If it's a trading system that you're implementing, a trading strategy, well, you've gone from $3.49 there to $4.51. You've gone from $4.67 to $6.64. I mean, that's a over 20% gain in a very short order. Here's another buy rating. And you've gone from $6.94 to $8.31. So you've made money all the way up. And then, of course, here's a higher high. Sorry, a higher high here, lower high here. We're still okay, but we failed to make a higher high on the next move to the upside. So just looking at price, you know that the uptrend is broken, even if you didn't get out on this sell rating. So that's how you would judge that. And you've got 40 period moving average sloping to the downside quite strongly. So that's another bearish indication as well. Very strong move to the upside, thrust of the 40 period moving average. Mining stock and the earnings is quite volatile, but it's making money. And for a mining stock, that's a very good sign. Very strong move to the upside, very strong push with the relative timing, the 40 period moving average, or sort of the 40-week moving average in this case. So that's how you would analyze these stocks and look for those entry points. Make a note of them, and you'll be prepared for the next one that comes along. So with that, I'm just going to close out of that, take us back into the slides. And basically, I want to thank you for watching. If you have questions or if you'd like to take a trial to our VectorVest program, we've got a special on 99 cents for a 30-day trial. You get Canada and the US software with that. So give us a call, 188-658-7638, and speak with one of our support representatives. And if you like this kind of content, please do click on the like button, and we'll be growing our VectorVest community and feel good about doing our videos for you. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day or weekend wherever you're at. Thank you.